Hello there, and welcome to another episode of 3D Christianity. My name is John Hathaway, and I'm your host. And on today's episode, we're going to be starting a new series. It's going to be called The 7 Deadly Sins of American Christianity. Now, this list is not an official list that I got from anywhere else. It's not going to be the same as the 7 deadly sins, the common ones that you're aware of, that you've probably heard of before. But it's just a list that I came up with of sins that I seem to notice being a systemic issue in American Christianity today. And this is not, just as a disclaimer, this is not an attack on any one particular denomination or group of Christians. It's just, besides American Christianity, or maybe you could call it like modern Christianity, but I just like the way American Christianity sounded a little bit better for this series. So we're going to be doing that and talking about some of these issues. Before we get into that, though, I just want to remind you guys, if you're not subscribed to this channel, I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. And if you're already a subscriber and if you like the content that I produce here, I would just appreciate it if you would hit that thumbs up so it can help the algorithms, and make sure to comment your feedback if there's anything you'd like to discuss about this video, or just any other stuff that you would like covered in this channel or that you want to talk about. I always appreciate hearing y'all's feedback, so be sure to do that. Now let's go ahead and get into the content of this video. So we're talking about the 7 deadly sins of American Christianity, and the first one that I want to talk about is hypocrisy. Now, one of the reasons that this is on the list is because I've noticed that in my own life, hypocrisy has been a big deal and something that I've had to try to learn to overcome. I'm not saying I've completely overcome it. I know that it's still an issue. It's probably an issue to all Christians to an extent, or to all human beings, because we're always fighting the flesh, and the sin that is that's in us, and that we just have to fight that every day. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about that. So, hypocrisy. What is hypocrisy? Now, this is not an official like Merriam-Webster definition, but I have 3 definitions written down. And the first one is appearing clean on the outside while being dirty on the inside. The second one is pointing out others' sins while remaining blind to our own. And then the third one I have is behaving one way in public and completely different in private. So I don't know if any of those particular things, those definitions about hypocrisy, if they resonate with you or if you can relate to them. They definitely have. Probably all 3 of those would have fit my lifestyle at one point or another, and like I said, probably still do to an extent, which I'm trying to overcome and trying to improve and get away from hypocrisy. But we're not going to be perfect. We're not ever going to be sinless or flawless as long as we're living this temporal life in our corrupt flesh that we currently live in, that I currently live in. So, hypocrisy. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I think it's very prevalent in our society and in modern Christianity, American Christianity. And I want to talk about it a little bit. So what were some of the things that I was hypocritical about, or that I noticed going on? So in church, for example, over the years, when I was in more of a fundamentalist, very conservative church, very traditional, I noticed that, probably, like I said, all 3 of these definitions that I gave would have been true about me at one point in time. Appearing clean on the outside while dirty on the inside, that was definitely true. If you know anything about the type of church that I came from, which was a lot of people call it the IFB, or the Independent Fundamental Baptist movement or church or whatever. But if you know anything about that group or that denomination, a lot of them will say that they're not a denomination. But I mean, come on, let's just be real. It is the denomination. Anyway, so if you know about that denomination, most of the serious church members, or like those that are on staff or that have grown up in that kind of a church environment, and that they, that they're people that basically take it very seriously and all that. Well, a lot of them are known for dressing up like really nice. Like, if you're a guy, you wear a suit and tie. You get polished dress shoes and everything like that. Really slick haircut and everything like that. And, always making sure that you look very presentable and, not slouchy, not, showing up to church in a t-shirt and jeans or, stuff like that. That's very important to those type of Christians. And then, for the girls, they would wear really nice dresses. Most of them, I won't say all Independent Baptists, but most of them, of the more conservative ones, you will see that their women don't wear pants, or at least like not to church. Maybe I think it's becoming more common these days for a lot of them to wear pants, like maybe while at home, or just Monday through Friday, or when they're away from church. But on Sunday or while they're at church, they'll put on a dress or a skirt or something like that. And to me, that seems like it's a form of hypocrisy, because a lot of them see, like, they see something like a person going into church, a girl wearing pants, or a guy wearing jeans and a t-shirt when he goes to church. They see that as like disrespectful, or bringing something profane into a holy space or whatever. And I mean, I just gotta admit, there's nothing in Scripture that talks about that. I mean, we could go into the issues about Paul talking about modesty and stuff like that, and I think that a lot of people misinterpret what he says when he's talking about modesty, and I think even our modern definition of modesty is actually quite a bit different. What we think of when we hear the term modesty is a lot different than probably what Paul was intending when he used that word, like in Timothy and stuff like that. But that's another subject for another video. I won't dwell on that too long. But the point is that, like, a lot of times we're focused on looking one way in public, but in private, or maybe when we're with our close friends and family and not around a whole lot of people, we look and we act a different way. So that is a problem. Why is it a problem? Well, because I would just say it's a problem because you're not being authentic around. You're being one person in one area, and a completely different person in other areas. And maybe that's getting into more of the definition that I talked about of behaving one way in public and completely different in private. Kind of fits in both of these, that one and appearing clean on the outside while dirty on the inside. But here's the thing. So we're focused on appearances. I think I went a little bit off on a rabbit hole that I didn't intend to, dress standards and things like that. But, when we get so wrapped up in our appearance, and then let's say back at home you have issues where you like maybe you have secret sins, or maybe you're abusive to your wife and children, or maybe you're addicted to watching inappropriate stuff online and things like that. And that is a major problem in a lot of Christian circles. And it could be any other issue. There's tons of different issues and besetting sins that we struggle with, but we're not open and transparent about those things. But what we try to let show at the surface is we try to put the best image where everyone can. What everyone sees is this immaculate person who never makes a mistake or anything like that. I mean, it's basically Phariseeism, is what it is, and that's what. I mean, Jesus often called the Pharisees hypocrites for this very reason. And we'll talk about another one is pointing out other sins while remaining blind to our own. So this is one issue that I just really, I can't stand it, is when in churches, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong. I mean, I think that, okay, well, let me just get what I'm talking about. What I can't stand is when Christians, like in church, when they spend all their time ranting and raving on the sins of the world. And when I say the sins of the world, I'm talking about things like homosexuality, abortion, transgenderism, all kinds of different things like that, feminism, and just the typical stuff that like you see on Fox News that they talk about, like between the left wing and the right wing side. And am I saying that it's wrong to preach against those sins in those areas? Of course not. I'm not saying that. I think that there is a time and a place to preach against those kind of sins, but when that's all you focus on, if someone, if a lost person comes to church and that's all that they hear, well, they're basically going to think that that you don't like them because they're different than you, because they sin differently than you do, and you never talk about your own mistakes and your own sins and the sins that you and the church struggle with. If all you focus on is the outside sins, the sins of the world, that's a major problem, and it shows that you basically are not willing to look within at your own sin and deal with that before you start trying to address other people's sins. So like I said, it's not that we shouldn't be addressing other people's sins. It's not that we shouldn't help people to take the beam, or take the whatever it is, take the speck out of their eye, but it's that we should first take the beam that is out of our own eye, and often those things are way worse than some of the sins that are out there in the world. I mean, pride is probably the sin that that's probably one of the most dangerous and sins hated by God, if we're talking about elevating sins. And we really shouldn't be trying to elevate certain sins above others, but I think pride is probably the root sin when it comes to a lot of other sins. And that's basically what hypocrisy stems from, is from pride. So I mean, I don't think I need to go into a whole lot of depth when it comes to this issue. I think I've covered the basics on it, but I do want to give you guys some questions, just some reflection questions to ask yourself, because look, if we're going to improve, if we're going to change, and we're going to get away from these sins as a church, or as a nation, or whatever, as all the Christians in America, if you want to change and you want to improve, you want to transform, well, we need to start looking at ourselves and see where these problems lie and how we can correct them. So I have a few questions here. Here's the first one is just to ask yourself these questions. So the first one is, do I care what others think about me? And if so, why is that? So that's the first question you should ask yourself is just do you care about what others think about you? And if so, why is that? And that's important. I mean, it's not saying that you shouldn't ever never give a flip about what anyone says about you or anything like that. Sometimes people do have some valid stuff that they say. You should learn to accept criticism, but don't always be concerned about what people think about you. A lot of times the most criticism that we get is when we're doing something right, and that was certainly the case for Jesus. He got criticized probably more than anyone else in the world, and he was perfect. He was sinless. So you shouldn't always worry about what other people think. If that's all you care about, then and you just don't want to offend anybody, then you should just go live under a rock and just go to your mom's basement and just watch TV and play video games and eat Cheetos and drink Mountain Dew all day, because I mean if you're going out in the world, you're going to offend somebody. If you say anything, you're going to upset somebody. So you really shouldn't be concerned about what other people think, as long as you are doing the right thing, as long as you are trying to live for God and please God. The next question I have is, do I spend more time examining and correcting others or myself? So think about that for a while. Think about how much time you spend correcting people or examining and critiquing people, and compare that to the time that you spend examining yourself and correcting and implementing correction into your own life. And I think that'll be helpful if you if you spend more time correcting others and always trying to find the flaws in others. If you just reverse that and try to take as much time as you do that, try to spend as much time that you do that spending it on yourself, trying to find the flaws that you have, and then correcting those, addressing them and correcting them. And you'll be surprised, I think, at the outcome afterwards, at the difference that takes place once you implement that in your life. The third question I have is the reflection question that you should ask yourself is, am I the same person in public as I am in private around my family and close friends? I'm going to say that again. Am I the same person in public as I am in private or around my family and close friends? And if not, why is that? So just some questions to think about and for you to consider. I think that hypocrisy is one of the biggest sins in American Christianity, in modern Christianity today, because basically, if we can get over hypocrisy, then it will help us with all the other sins. Hypocrisy is basically what makes us blind to our own sins. And if you can address this sin within yourself, I think all the other sins should not be an issue. If you can be authentic, be real with people, be honest about your struggles and about your sins, and don't try to project them on other people. When one thing is when you have a besetting sin that you can't seem to get over, and you start to get resentful about it, you get resentful towards yourself because you're not getting any victory over that area, and you start to get bitter, and then you start projecting your anger on other people when you see people that maybe are exhibiting similar behavior, or maybe anyone that that seems to not struggle with that same stuff. You begin to get jealous, and it's a breeding ground for sin when you have an attitude of hypocrisy. So I would encourage you to do some self-reflection, and just try to examine yourself. As David said, "Search me, O God, and know my heart, and see if there be any wicked way in me." I would just encourage you to do that, and to try to get rid of any toxic mindset or behavior that you have, and just be more transparent about it. You don't have to, and I'm not saying you should throw all your dirty laundry out there for everyone to hear, but find some people that you can trust. Find a community or a person or something that you can trust, and that someone that is not going to blab about this to everyone else, and someone that will hold you accountable and that will help you. And I would just encourage you to try to improve in that area, whatever it is that you're struggling with. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but I would appreciate it. Remember, just if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment, share it with someone if it's been helpful, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and God bless.